Okay, we're going to try to create a scenario for you that allows you to know how to put things in space and create interconnecting component frames. This is an extremely valuable skill. It's quite advanced in many ways. We'll be working with construction planes and a little mirroring, creating mirrored parts. So we're going to start here right now. First, I'm going to make a couple of parts up. Maybe just one part. In fact, I'm gonna make up a pretend motor here. So you just saw I did file new part. Um, and tell you what, let me just go ahead and close that and do it one more time. So I want to make a part. So file, new, and here's part. So I hit OK. And I'll just put this on the front plane and ask for a sketch right there. And I'll go for a simple rectangle, middle here, pull it out. I'll make this 2 by 3. I just typed in a 2 and a 3 there. Hit enter, exit the sketch. Let's go ahead and extrude the boss. You guys have all done this a lot, so we're just kind of flipping through this here. I'll make that a 1/2 inch. And to make the part more interesting on the face here, I'm going to do another sketch. And we're going to do something simple like a motor shaft kind of a looking thing. I'm going to just type 0.500, enter. And as you might guess, I'm going to immediately go back and extrude that, and I'll leave it at a 1/2 inch. Kind of gives it some kind of a meaning to it. And we're going to save that as, let's see, let's go to SolidWorks files here and find the ECM110 directory. And you can see I've got my fun stuff here, so we'll just go to the 2015-16 year, and I'll make up a new folder. And we're just going to call it build in space demo. Okay, so we're going to build in space demo here and save this off as, I will call it motor 1. And I'm just going to save that. Okay, so now I have a part. And now we're going to be leaving the land of parts. We've been doing a lot of part stuff. So now we're going to go over to the land of new here and go to the land of assembly. Okay, so it's different in assembly because we are going to be kind of doing things that are like pieces of both, but you're going to have to be very careful as we move back and forth between layout and part and sketch. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and make this easy. I'm going to go ahead and see it. The assembly is already knowing that I have one of these, but I'm just going to X out of that. And I'm going to go over these frames a little bit, and we're going to do this little thing right here. You see this little pull out here? That changes things because now I can turn all these things on, and I know they're all on, okay? And the advantage is that I can see these different planes. Now, if I go up to here and I hit View, and I say Planes, it's going to show me all of them. I believe I can toggle this off and just have the plane that's highlighted. Okay, so a lot of times people do this, they turn them all on, it says, I can't see all of them. Well, just go to View, hit Planes, and now all the planes are here. Now, there's all kinds of ways that people come up with the version of how they want to do these. A lot of times I like to use the front and the right plane when I do this kind of stuff. So I just get used to having that kind of orientation. Kind of use that the right plane as the end of my thing, and the front plane is sort of the silhouette outline of my thing. My top plane will be used for reference for doing various things later. But what we're going to start with is I have all these turned on right now. I'm just going to use the front plane as a base frame to work from. And so I'm going to turn off the other two here. And as you can see, I'm just down on my front plane. And I'll flip it around here because I'm going to try to get this in some kind of, hang on here, X, Y. Yeah, there's X, Y right there. So let's flip it around that way. Okay. So right now, X is to my right, Y is up and down. It's not really important, really, but it's just handy if you kind of like to play with X and Y. And so what I want to do is I need to add. I gotta kind of like create a space to start hanging things on. Okay. And so first we're going to go and I'm going to exit this sketch that got started there. And right now I just have a front plane, and I'm going to go to reference geometry. And you see plane. And now it's going to ask me for a reference. So I'm going to go ahead and click the front plane here if it lets me click it. There you go. And I can now pull this out. Hang on. Oops. Let's do that one more time. I'm just going to click the front plane here. And I'm going to go ahead and say I want a plane. It's referencing the front plane, and I'm going to come out 2 inches. Okay. So now I'm out here 2 inches, and I can say, okay, I like that plane. And so now I have this plane. This is going to be the beginning of where I want to put something. Okay, where I want to start out with like my first component in space. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the right plane here too, just so we have a an idea where everything's going here. So you can see I have the front plane, which is already there. I added my new plane, which is this one. And I'm going to do something here. I'm going to just kind of like sit on top of this for a second, and you'll notice that if I just kind of hover over it, it'll let me change the name of that. And so I'm going to call that the ear plane, no pun intended. And I tell you what, I'll just go ahead and do it in uppers and lowers so it looks like the other kind of labeling. And now you notice over here it says ear plane. Now the reason for that is I need to have some ideas of where I'm going to be putting stuff. So now I'm going to add another plane, and same thing, just insert a plane. I'll still use the front plane as a reference, okay? And this one we're going to move out to 3 inches, okay? And now I have a 3-inch plane. Now I'm going to label this one the leg plane, okay? And so now I have the ear plane and the leg plane. I have control over turning these off and on, so I can cut my confusion levels down pretty quickly. I'm going to start by turning off the leg plane, and I'm going to go to in fact, I'll turn off the right plane here too, so we just kind of like see our one plane. I'm going to leave the front plane in the background here. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to insert up here. And it's going to say component. And remember the motor we just made? I'm going to say existing part. And I only have one part in that directory, so you'll see it's just one, but I could have hundreds in there. And you'll notice it brought it over here. And what we do is we're going to click on this thing, then right click, and you see the word float? It's pretty important we click that, so now we can move this thing around. Like otherwise it'll be fixed in space and it won't go anywhere. Well, you don't do this too often, so we're going to go through this. You're used to doing mates between parts, but now we're going to do mates between planes. And that's a really big difference for what we've been doing. And the reason for this is that, remember, we're trying to put stuff in space where we want it. Well, I've already designated the ear plane as where how many inches away from the front plane I want to be. So I'm just going to hit mate. And I can pick the, let me clear whatever's in here. Right click and clear whatever's in here. And we'll click the ear plane, and I'm going to click the back of the motor. Poof! Now it's on the ear plane, and that's pretty cool. But that's not doing us much good because you can see I can move it all over that plane. So just for another reference, let's go ahead and get the right plane going. Okay, and there's the right plane hanging out. And I'll go ahead and move this part over here, but if I can real quick. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a mate here between the front of this motor. I don't think I got that. Hang on. If you don't see the part light up pretty well, just kind of zoom in a little bit. Make sure you get the plane you want. And we'll do the right plane. Okay. And notice I'm still going up and down, but I can't go left and right. So who would you think I would turn on next? How about the top plane? Let's turn that on. Leave all those guys on. And now I got the top plane here. And remember planes, once you click on them, you get these little blue dots. So if you want to, you can make them a little bit bigger to make yourself have a better idea how they work. And I'm going to say, hey, I want this is going to be the shaft of my rotate my ears around motor. And so I'm going to go ahead and say, you know what, I'm going to put a mate on this, and I'm going to go from this plane here, the top plane, and I'm going to go underneath to the part and do that. And you'll notice it's already going up. And I'm going to go over here to the distance thing, and I'm going to say, you know what, I'm going to put that at 3 inches above. Okay, now if you notice it went the wrong way, all I got to do is hit the flip dimension here. You'll see it goes up. So I just moved this thing around, and it's all based on planes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these planes a little bigger now so you can see this a little more clearly. Because what we did is we said we want the part on our ear plane, okay? And you'll notice that it's stuck to the airplane. Then we reference this edge, the other side of this motor, to the right plane, which is a fixed plane in space. And we also referenced it to the top plane, and now I can't move it. It says the component is fully defined, it cannot be moved. And that's where you want to start out with, because that now anchors a lot of the work you're about to do. You're going to be doing a lot of other things here. And so I'm just going to stretch these planes out once more, just so you know that. And notice I left that front plane just kind of drifting in the background. We'll just kind of let that sit back there and not worry about it. And remember I had another plane called the leg plane? Well, let's go ahead and turn that one on. So here's the leg plane. I can turn that one on now. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and put a motor on that one. And so I have to do what? Insert, component. Have I already made this component? Yes, existing part. Now click that, and ta-da, it's over here. Now, if I click on the part and I right-click it, it says I can fix it. So it means right now it is a floating part, which is great. You always have to double check that, because all of a sudden you can't move something. It probably means it has been already anchored on you. I'm looking at the planes here, and I'm thinking, you know what, that ear plane is a little further away from the middle than I want. So let's go ahead and fix that first. So what I'm saying is, when I look at the top here, you see that ear, here's the middle, which is going to be the middle of our system. And I put this over here, and I don't have a lot of distance between the ear plane and the leg plane. So what I'm going to do is go back to the ear plane. And if I right click, you'll notice it lets me edit the feature. Okay? Planes are just like objects. You can handle them the same way. And notice what I'm going to do here. I'm going to say, you know what? I want that a little closer. So I'm going to make it 1.5 inches. And ta-da! Now I got more space between them. So you can click on planes, and you can edit their features all kinds of ways. You get in trouble if you start playing with planes after they've been used in a build. In other words, as you keep building the part, you'll have a lot of problems when you're on a rebuild. So kind of like pay attention to getting your planes where you want them to start out, because later on they can be a bit problematic to fix. Not unfixable, but definitely you will be breaking down a lot of stuff, going backward and then resetting and then putting a lot of parts back. Okay, so let's get back to our motor I got floating here. Okay, and it's just floating. So first thing I'm going to do is what? I want to put it on, this is going to be my leg motor. So I'm going to ask for mates. And notice it's picked something, and that's always the first thing I do. Go over here to the mate and just say clear selections. And I'm going to go to the leg plane. Okay, and I just highlight it there. It says leg plane. And what do you think I'm going to click? Back of the motor. Poof. Now it's on the leg plane. But notice that it can move anywhere it wants on the leg plane, right? So let's do a couple things. With reference to the right plane, we can set this distance. So what we're going to do, and once again, let's go ahead and I'm just going to get out of mate here for a second. I'm going to turn off that ear plane, okay, for a moment. And I'm going to turn off the front plane, just to have a little bit less things to look at. So I've got the top, the right, and the ear plane, leg plane, excuse me, ear plane, right plane, leg plane, top plane. That's what I got set up right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and anchor this thing in space so it doesn't drift around. And I'm going to use the mate. And I'm going to pick the right plane so I have a common reference. Oops, it's got too many things that I already had picked, so just clear them out, pick the right plane. And now I'm going to click that edge of that box, or that motor box. And I'm going to say, you know what, since I'm designing this thing, I would like to have that motor, oh, I'll just say 4 inches or 6 inches from the front. Okay, I want that 6 inches from the front. And I could hit fine with that. And now there's one more problem. I could still go up and down. Okay. I could register this all kinds of ways. I can come off the other motor, or I can come off the top plane. Let's use the top plane for right now. Pick the top plane. Pick the bottom of the motor, and it's having a little bit of trouble, so just zoom in. There you go. Got the face of that. And let's see. I'm already working on this part, so I gotta hit that. Okay, it's going the wrong direction, so I hit flip dimension. Up I go. I'll tell you what, I'll just set it up to about 1 inch here. I'll just type it in 1.0. And if we try to move the part, what do you think is going to happen? Nothing. It says the selected component is fully defined and it cannot be moved. Now notice how these parts are hanging in space right now. Okay, they are now in space and they are well defined. I can not move either of them. They're all set up to where I want them to be. And since I have them where I want them, we need to create a frame. I want to hold these together. I mean, obviously this is neat that they're all locked in my SolidWorks model, but I need the parts to hold these things in place. And now we're going to hit a whole bunch of new stuff. So let's just get ready to do that. All right, so what we have to think about is you're used to making parts by saying new. And your part is just built in space, and you don't really know much about it other than the fact that it's been built in some kind of space. You don't know where it's at. When we want to make parts that are part of an assembly build, then we have to do what's called a insert new component. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on that front plane. Okay. Because for me, I'm going to call this where I want to put the center of my system. In other words, whatever I'm building, that's where I really want to start it out. You notice how everything's offset from that right now. I've kind of been setting that up for you. And now instead of inserting a component that exists, remember I'm in an assembly right now. See the SSEM1 up there? I'm going to insert a new part. Now that sounds weird because I'm in an assembly, and normally we always do that in parts. Okay, so I have to pick a place to do this. I'll pick the front plane. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with. Notice it's already in a sketch mode because I said I want to put a new part in. All I had to do is click the plane that I wanted to put it on. Okay, now let me exit and do that one more time so you can see that. Okay, and what we're going to do is I'm going to go back. I can't. That's right. I can't go back on that one. Let me see if I can just delete that part real quick. Yeah. Okay. Got it. Okay. So I'm going to do that one more time. I'm going to say I want to insert a component on a new part. Now, one of the trickier things you can do with SolidWorks, sometimes it works in verb mode, which means you can kind of preset stuff. So I'm going to hit the front plane, click it first, and now I'm going to say insert component, new. And I guess it's still not doing it. So I'm going to just click the front plane here. And it now is on the front plane, okay? And I'm going to be doing a sketch there. What I'm going to do first is, just to show you that this is real, I'm going to go ahead and hit a circle here and draw a circle. Okay, and you'll notice it's drawing it on the front plane. Okay. We're going to just do an undo on that, but I just want to let you know that yes, we can draw right on this plane here. We just picked it. But what we're going to be doing is something called convert. And the reason why we want to use convert is convert saves us from doing a lot of pencil and paper numbers trying to work out where things are. So I'm going to do convert entities here. And you'll notice it says, what entities do you want to convert? Well, what we're trying to do is get things from other places onto our sketch that we can use. So notice what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit this edge, this edge, this edge, and this edge. And if I hit the green button, check mark, notice it landed on my sketch plane. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit the circle too while I'm at it. And every time I hit green here, or the check mark, it's going to move those. So what I'm basically doing is I'm putting on my background sketch, which is going to be my frame. I can click all these guys, and you'll notice they all got transferred to there. And I didn't do any math. I didn't say how far apart is that or anything. I have it right now. And I want you to be very careful and note that we're in see this big button up here, it says edit component. That means you are actively making a part right now, okay? And you got to remember that you've kind of like gone out of the assembly a little bit, but you're not too far away from it. You're editing a component right in the assembly, okay? Now we're going to do is we're going to use our little normalized normal to here, and you'll see that we're looking at our system. Now, if you didn't do that little XY thing I showed you earlier, your drawing may be upside down right now, okay? So what I'm going to recommend to you is that just know this one. If I hit the Alt key and the left arrow or the right arrow, notice I can rotate it. So if you're upside down, you can just do this and you'll all be happy again. But if you do take the time to make sure that when you start your drawing, X and Y is like you're used to seeing it, everything will come out fine right away. Now, I'm still in sketch mode here, okay? Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn off the leg plane here because it's not part of what I want to do right now. And I'm even going to turn off the ear plane. I don't want to do that right now. But what I can do now is I can start another sketch. I mean, I can just draw. I'm on a sketch. I'm going to draw some lines right now. And I'm going to pretend that I'm drawing some kind of framework that I probably think that the bunny rabbit frame in this case is going to need. So I'm just kind of like going along here.